All right, let's get started here. Hi, everyone, and welcome from across the US. Internationally, we've got folks joining us. I am so happy to be here with you all. My name is Rachel Maysels. I'm the executive director at Fair Share. And just want to thank you all for joining us today for this special CSA Week Ideas Lab to learn simple but essential ways to optimize your website. So the main chunk of today will be a presentation from Erika Tebbens from Taste the Local Difference. We'll do a brief intro first to the Innovation Network and then also just really celebrate that we're in the midst of CSA Week right now. So, the CSA Innovation Network, for those that don't know, is a national organization that generates and facilitates idea sharing between CSA farmers and TA providers across the US and beyond. We recognize that many of us work in relative isolation and want to connect those across these spaces doing similar work and provide resources through this Idea Lab series in particular, through working groups and our resource library on the website. And last year, we actually opened up an opportunity for those that do want to support through sponsorship. So if you are interested in getting involved in reaching a wide network of CSA farms, please look at that on our website and reach out to us to discuss more. So during this week, in particular, CSA week, farmers, farm support organizations, and local eaters across the country have come together and we're all promoting CSA signups for the year. And we have lots of resources on the website. So for those that haven't already checked it out, please go to download our free digital toolkit and resource guide at the csainnovationnetwork.org. And it's available for those that want some support and promotional material. So I'm very excited today to welcome Erika Tebbens. She is the Director of Impact at Taste the Local Difference. And Taste the Local Difference is a woman-led local food marketing agency that's done incredible work for farms, farmer organizations, and eaters. And Erika is an active member of the CSA Innovation Network, brings so much insight and value to this space. And we're so happy to have her with us today. So welcome, Erika, and I'll pass it along to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Let me get my screen going here. All right. Oops. There we go. Perfect. Thank you again so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk about this. As she just mentioned, TLD, we are now in our 22nd year and we are experts in marketing for local food businesses. So, farmers, agritourism, local like small craft producers in local food, anything adjacent to that, we are all about it. We love it. And we started in Michigan, but we work with folks nationally now. I live in Michigan, but I used to live and farm in upstate New York before I moved here. And I also have worked with tons of entrepreneurs myself before I joined the team at TLD. So I love to talk sales, marketing, and local food and farming. I'm going to cover a lot of stuff today. And so there will be time at the end for questions. And one thing I will say is, as we're going through this, because a lot of what I'm going to be covering is a bit more on the technical side, I don't want anyone to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm lost, or, like, do I have to do all of this right away for it to work? The answer is absolutely no. You're going to get all of these slides later as well. There's some links to other resources in here too. And this is really going to be one of those things that I'm going to call out the things that are better to do now and the things that you can work on gradually. And this is the kind of thing that will be really good to work on when you have the recording and when you have the slides and you can like stop and pause and do this in little bits and pieces as you go. So we're going to be talking first about SEO. And then we're going to be talking about some adjustments on your website that will help support SEO too. So, first up, what is SEO and why should you care about it? So, SEO is simply the acronym for search engine optimization, and it's how your business is going to show up on Google and other search engines. It's a free way that will help people find your farm when they're searching for things like your products, your specific farm name, or simply farms near them. And the way that Google works, and I'm going to explain more deeply into all of this, but it has certain requirements and best practices that will help determine which websites get shown in search results and how like high they show up in search results. But the good news is that there are things that you can do to improve your odds of being found in those results. And I'm going to share those with you today. And first and foremost, if you're like, why should I even bother with this when I have 12 million other things to do? One nice thing about search is that it is one component to your whole marketing ecosystem. But also, I know a lot of times people get really frustrated with having to keep up with things like social media and other things that feel like more of a like daily task that they have to do. With SEO, while it's not like set it and forget it forever, it is one thing that it doesn't need constant tending. So once you have some things in place, some building blocks in place, it can do a lot more heavy lifting for you in the background, which is nice. So first up, how search engines work. So when you go into a search bar or your potential customers go into a search and they are, typing something in, it is going to be crawling the web to find websites. It's going to try to figure out what they're about. It's going to look for if they best answer what that person is searching for. And then also, it's looking for sites that are trustworthy, right? So it wants to serve up something that is going to feel useful and relevant to the searcher. So that means that your job as the owner of that website is to make it really clear, make it helpful, and make it easy for Google to understand. So let's explain more about how you can do that. This right here is one of the things that you can do within the next, 7 days, right? So I don't know exactly what each of your schedules looks like within the next 7 days, but hopefully you have some time in the next 7 days that you could do these few things. So you want to make sure that these details on your site are both on your site and that they are up to date and easy to find. So this is who you are, where you are, what you sell, how people can buy from you, when you're open, and then very clear pages for main products or services that you offer. This stuff is essential. Then start thinking about keywords. So you all, I'm sure everybody here has done a Google search or a search on a different type of search engine at some point in time. So these are simply the words or phrases that somebody is typing in when they are looking to find something. So you want to make sure that as much as possible and as often as possible that your website info is matching up what is most commonly being searched for that you also want to be found for. So things like, we have some examples here of like pasture raised pork delivery, you pick blueberries, local honey, CSA shares, Portland, Oregon. Obviously, not all of those are going to apply to you, but just some examples. The way that you can do this for yourself, and this is also something that you can start to think about this week, is what are you known for and where are you located? What do customers commonly ask you? And what makes your farm unique? And then as you're jotting those things down, whether it's in a notebook or in a document on your computer, think about this formula. So think about your product or a service that you offer, plus your location, plus the intent. So intent is just like what somebody, might be thinking about. What is their intent, the thing that they're searching for? So examples are grass-fed beef boxes, Michigan, farm stand hours, Vancouver, Washington, organic CSA shares pickup, right? So it's a type of a thing and then like what the person is intending to do, right? So whether they're getting a CSA share and when they can pick it up, when they can visit a farm stand, getting a beef box, etc. Now, once you've done a little bit of brainstorming, you are going to take some of those keywords and you are going to put them in different places on your website. And I'm going to show you where you can put them. But you want to make sure that you're writing for humans first, right? So, if you've ever been on like a food recipe blog and you've searched for like, I don't know, like green, like white chicken chili recipe or something like that, and somebody has a food blog and they have like, you know, award-winning white chicken chili recipe. And then as you're reading through it, you realize like they keep repeating that phrase over and over, and it starts to sound weird and redundant and not like a human. They are trying to just rank for SEO. So you don't want to do it like that, right? You want to do this in a much more natural way. And here is how we're going to do that. So we're going to do it in these four spots, and I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. So this is from our localfoodmarketing.com website, which is built on the Squarespace platform. So these are screenshots from that. So in your page titles, and these are the SEO titles. So this is not the navigation tab at the top that people click on to go to the page, but this is like there's a little gear icon, and then it allows you to pop out with more information that you could put on that page and put in your page title. So you there would describe more about what that page is about using some of those real search terms. And I have some resources about how you can also think about, see what people are searching to, and then kind of overlay your ideas with what people are searching to do this. But for example, grass-fed beef in northern Michigan would be better than simply products. And then headers, so your H1 and H2 text, you want to clearly describe what that section is about. So that way it will help people understand the content. It will work like a signpost. So that is this right here. So there's your SEO title, there's your SEO description, and then these are your headers on your site. Next up is the first paragraph and the alt text. So you want to be sure. So when people go to your website, and you can even think about this for yourself, when you go to other people's websites, you probably look at things pretty quickly, and you're probably skimming, right? You can think about your own user behavior and then try to replicate that on your own website. So you want to be sure the most important info is right there at the top, very straightforward and easy to find. So who, what, when, where, why, how, all of that, boom, right at the top. Then another thing that you can take advantage of that is really recommended is whenever you have images, is popping out the like in the place where you have the image where you're uploading most website builders will have a spot to add alt text, and you're going to describe in clear and plain language what that image is. This helps with both accessibility and search. So as you can see here, this says farmer harvesting apples into crates in an orchard with a tractor in the background. Very clear, very straightforward. So now in thinking about SEO, there is local and there's national. You will likely not need to worry about national SEO. Unless for some reason you have things like products that you are trying to rank for nationally and then ship out. But that is likely not always going to be the case, or not likely going to be the case. So instead, we are going to heavily focus on local SEO for this next section. So this will help when people search things like farm near me or CSA in your city or your region. or other things that you offer, specific products that you offer in your location and other things like this. And local SEO will care about your location, your Google business profile, having consistent information that is correct, and then keywords and local listings. That's what it's going to prioritize. So we're going to go through each one of those. So local search really matters. And the thing that is good about it is when you're not trying to compete against national folks, it can actually become easier, right? Because you are simply targeting the local area where you are. And so if people are searching near you, you want to make sure that you are coming up when they search. So it will help you show up in maps and any of the when people type in like restaurants near me or salons near me, if you've ever done that, right? There are people searching for what you have near you. You want to be found. You're going to be able to reach real customers in your area who are excited and either ready to buy like right now or to purchase soon. And it will help you stand out from bigger national brands. So here's another thing that, just like I said on that earlier slide of like, please do these few things in the next 7 days. This is another one of those that I really want you to be able to prioritize in the next 7 days, if possible. And that is your Google business profile if you do not have one. If you do have one and it needs a little love, please give it a little bit of love because it will do a lot for you to have one. Um, Even if you don't have people that can like physically come to your business to shop with you on location, that is totally fine. This is a thing that it'll still help you show up in search results. It will help you show up locally in part of what's called Google's Map Pack, and it will help you show up in the near me results. It will also give you a way for your customers to give you ratings on there. And ratings will help other potential future customers to be able to see like, oh, is this worthwhile? Is this a CSA that I want to invest in? So what you can do now, you cannot, like, it's against their terms of service to incentivize positive reviews. But if you have longtime, like loyal customers who are raving fans and you get this set up, one thing you can do is reach out to a few of those folks and just say like, hey, we got this set up. It would really mean a ton if you could help us like to get started with some positive reviews on there and then send them the link to do that. Also make sure that on there that you have all your correct info and get some good photos on there as well. So again, as I already said, it's going to literally put your business on the map. It will help those local customers find you. Make sure that you have hours, location, website updates, any of those things. If any of the things I'm saying are not applicable, just, skip them, but try to have it as thorough as possible. And then having, again, those photos and the reviews will build a lot of trust for potential buyers. So you simply just need to claim your profile and start to create it, add in all the info, select the business categories, and then make sure that periodically you update it, right? So if things are changing, if you have different hours at different times of year or anything, just set a calendar reminder for yourself to go in and update it later. Some other things that can help you both with SEO, with things that are called backlinks, which is when like your site is listed on other folks' websites, but also just with marketing in general and to be found in more places and have greater visibility, is thinking about things like local food guides, tourism sites. If you are at a farmer's market, making sure that they have like accurate and updated vendor lists, state and regional farm directories, CSA or farm share directories, local orgs and partner websites. Any of your like social media pages, make sure that you have accurate links that go to your website. Make sure all the info in your social profile bios is like fully filled out as well. And if you happen to be in Michigan, Taste the Local Difference, we host the state's food and farm directory. So you can be a part of that for free. There are some SEO tools that you can use that are free. So like the Google Search Console, and if you already are on Squarespace, Shopify, or some other website builder platforms, a lot of them have analytics tools that are built right in that you can use. You can also utilize things like people also ask, which is like if you search on Google, usually in the search results, there's like a drop down section that says like people also ask, and it has some other queries there with little like drop down arrows that show the answers. And then Google suggestions, which is when like you start to type something out and it auto populates a bunch of other things so you could see what else is common. And they're gonna be able to see how they'll help you see how people are finding you. It will show you what Google knows about your site, help you identify simple fixes, and then support ongoing improvement. And these are things where, again, if right now, if you are more in like a real crunch time, you can just do this piece by piece. Or if you do have a little bit more capacity, you could start implementing these things bit by bit. So again, what to focus on first. Here's a little checklist for you. Claim or update that Google business profile, definitely top of the list. Then filling out SEO fields on your website platform, adding alt text to the images, and fixing information gaps. So who you are, what you sell, and where you're located. A good SEO web page will have clear and specific page titles, helpful descriptive headers, a very clear first paragraph that explains your farm and offerings, relevant images with alt text, and clear local context, where you are and who you serve. Similarly, I know when I was just mentioning social media profiles, make sure on your social media profiles that you also include things like your location and not just accurate like website links. It may seem irrelevant, but it's not because the algorithm will show you to people all over. So make sure you have your location on there, and it will also, by having your location, it will help the algorithm to know who to show you to more in your local area as well. So, as a review of this, before we dive into the next section, I just want to remind you to start small, focus on clarity and accuracy, and making a few improvements at a time because local SEO progress takes time. And I don't want you to be overwhelmed because this can feel like it can feel overwhelming. It can feel like there's a lot to do. And I know how busy you already are, right? So just, mainly getting the clear and accurate info on your site, getting that Google business profile, and then setting up, like the Google Search Console and things like that, and doing gradual things over time can really help. There are some additional things as you are going through and you're making those tweaks on your website that can really help. They're going to help both for SEO and for sales overall and customer experience. So your website is going to set the tone. Search engines will look for helpful, usable websites, but overall, first impressions will shape trust and engagement. And small usability improvements can support better performance. So if you think about it, folks coming to you, if they already know, like, and trust you, and they've been shopping with you for a while, and they're simply going to your site to sign up for the CSA, probably not that much like of a big deal, right? Because no matter how much your CSA is, they already trust you and they know that you are legit. But if you think about somebody else who's just shopping around for a CSA and they are potentially going to spend several $100s, they're putting a lot of trust in you. So if they land on your site and there are things there that feel like they are possibly eroding trust. And then they hop around to other people's sites that don't give them that same experience and feel more trustworthy. It's one of those things that even on a subconscious level, it changes buyer behavior. So things that we often see and can be improved, images that are blurry, dark, stretched, grainy, any of those things. Navigation, so that's the buttons at the top. Navigation that feels hard to follow or is confusing, or is sometimes like non-existent. Buttons or links that don't respond as expected. So things like broken buttons or links, text or elements that overlap on some screens. So sites that maybe aren't like optimized for mobile or just look weird on different computers, pages that take a long time to load, content that hasn't been updated. So it's just really stale or out of date. And these things will affect visitors and search engines. The way that they affect SEO is that visitors may leave sooner, pages may get less engagement, and then search engines will receive fewer positive signals. So it will then push the page, like the site, down in ranking those search results. So they won't come up as high when they do come up. But there are opportunities. There are ways that these can be fixed. So some things that I already mentioned is that those page titles can simply be more descriptive. And with similar or like repeated page titles across the pages, make sure that page titles are very clear and that they're very distinctive so that people know what each page is all about. So it's easier for them to navigate. Make sure that some of those meta descriptions have been filled in per page. With your headings, instead of them, again, just saying, products, have it be more explained out, refreshing older content, and then checking buttons. But we're going to go through each of these as well. So on those titles and descriptions, so less clear would be home and products, more helpful, grass-fed beef in Washtenaw County / farm name, or CSA shares in Gresham, Oregon / full seller farm. So remember, clear and specific usually performs better than a description that is too basic. With your content, the good news is that like if you have event pages or older things on there that you don't need, you can simply archive it or update it, right? So if you don't have time right now to update it, you can always just archive it and make a note to come back to it. Any seasonal information can, again, just make a note in your calendar each year to go through and go back and just update that. Longstanding blog posts that you have, again, over time, just make it part of like an annual workflow if you know that those are posts that get good traffic, that are really useful that you want to keep. Just go through and do a little refresh. And then make sure that your hours and contact info are always updated. It's also really great to check any links and buttons and forms. Just make sure all of the tech is working. This can be really great for if any of you have additional help or like really trusted folks in your life who can go through and can check any of these things for you. You can have people go through and just look and see and mess around on your site and make a list of anything that isn't working, and then you can go through and fix. But when you get the slides, all of these are linked to broken link checker tools that can crawl your site and also look for you. And then last, one of the other like major tools that you can attach to your site that is free if you don't already have it in like connected to your site is Google Analytics. So this will show you how people use your site. So this is when people are landing on your site. it will show how they engage. So it will show how people have found you. It will highlight popular pages. It will give you opportunities for improvement. It will like help you identify them. And again, it's free. So you can set it up once, you can check it monthly, or periodically, and it will show you patterns over time. So this is just a little bit of a screenshot here. There's a setup resource that you can go through, but it will show you like your users, sessions, engagement time, traffic sources, etc. There is a lot here. Again, you might be looking at this and be like, this is way high level, Erica. Like, I don't, what are you talking about, right? But this can always be something that you add in later. You don't have to do it right now. Or what I would encourage you to do is like, you can literally just set it up now, make sure it's connected to your site because it will start collecting the data and have the data running in the background. And you can always go back and check it later. But that way, at least it's been connecting or collecting data the whole time. Some metrics to start with, if it feels overwhelming and you just want to narrow your focus, are your users. So, how many people are visiting, sessions, how often they come, traffic source. So, that's where they came from. So, like if you're sending out a newsletter or they came from your social media or somewhere else, top pages. So, what they see the most. So, that could be like when we're talking about refreshing content. If you have a blog post that performs really well or a few that perform really well, those would be things where you're like, okay, we need to make sure that these ones people really like. So let's make sure we're refreshing them every year. And then engagement time, how long they tend to stay. And the one thing that is that I will say is uh really cool about data, even though it can feel really daunting, is that once you get comfortable with it, it does give you like even though data can't always tell you everything perfectly 100%, it can give you some really cool objective information that you can use that takes some of like the emotion out of making marketing decisions. So it's really helpful for that. So how do SEO and your analytics work together? So SEO is going to show you how people find your site. So some of those earlier tools that I mentioned will show you how they get there, but then analytics is going to tell you what their behavior is once they arrive. So together, it's going to show you how to improve your website over time. So in the example we have here is if a page is getting steady traffic, but your visitors don't stay very long. What it's suggesting is that the topic is relevant, but that page itself might benefit from clearer content, layout, or visuals. So it would be a good page to audit or potentially have a trusted person look through and audit and give you feedback on. So lastly, it's important to remember that again, I just want to hammer this home. Small improvements can go a long way. So some final suggested focus areas are your links and your buttons. Again, making sure that all of those are correct and working, and your order forms, any of those things, that they are all accurate and working. Page titles and headings, recently updated content, navigation clarity, and a basic analytics review. And remember that SEO is a long-term practice. So your websites evolve, your content will change, but overall, those incremental updates will add up. You could even think of this like even if you go through and you do a big audit after this right now, and you just do those most pressing things right now to be sure that you can have like a good CSA launch season, that's great. But then take everything else that you want to do and put it in a project plan and then, schedule it out as it works with your schedule. I also have a resource, a free resource with 8 SEO tips. So you can have this. I know it's going to be in the chat as well. So you can either scan this with your phone, or if you're watching on your phone, it will be put, yeah, Tess just got it in the chat. So you can download that. It will go right to your inbox, so you can always refer back to it later. And then lastly, we have tons more resources, lots of free resources on marketing. So downloadable guides, we have webinars, articles, all sorts of things at localfoodmarketing.com on the resources navigation tab. And if you think of a question later or you're watching this on the replay and you didn't get to ask a question, you can always message me, send me an email at erica@localdifference.org. And with that, I'm going to hit stop share and then we can do Q&A.
Thank you so much, Erica. I really admire sort of this work plan guidebook you put together. It's such an easy step by step process to follow. Thank you for doing that. We did have a series of questions that folks asked ahead of time with registration, so I'll start with those. But as questions do come up, please feel free to utilize the chat, and we'll make sure that we have the next 15 minutes or so for Q&A. So, Erica, you touched on the importance of having all the logistics information on the website. And someone was curious if it's important to also list values, mission, and principles clearly as well.
Yes, I love, love, love this question. And I absolutely think that you should. So, we tend to work with mostly like purpose-driven business owners. And so, I think that that is really essential. And I also think, as somebody who did not grow up in farming, never thought I would work in the world of farming or food systems, and came to it through the world of CSA, like being a CSA customer first. And then, as things happen, you go down the rabbit hole, and then here I am all these years later. Um, especially when somebody is going to be spending a lot of money, usually they want to be sure that they are spending that in a values aligned way. And now, like nowadays, consumers are spending a lot more in alignment with their values. So, one way that you can differentiate yourself in the marketplace is also by leading with your values. So, that could be, if you have like an about me or about us page on your navigation. Um, on that page, you can have a section that is about your values or your mission, your vision, or all three, whatever pertains to you. But yes, I absolutely think that you should.
Great. And then there's a couple of questions. I'll split them up, but the theme is sort of how do you optimize website traffic when you have multiple components you're trying to highlight? So, on one hand, the question is, our organization has multiple components. Should the farm be front and center rather than equally weighted? And then on the other hand, someone asked that we've got two websites, one through which we do our sales, and then how do you sort of drive the website optimization to the actual farm itself? So when the back end is kind of directed towards multiple ends, how is that interaction?
Yeah. So interestingly, here at TLD, we have two entirely separate websites ourselves because we have one that is very focused solely on um, Michigan consumers that are interested in supporting local food and local farms. And so really what you want to be thinking about is like you can have multiple audiences that you're speaking to and multiple objectives. Just make it very, very clear. Like if they are all coming to the same website, you want to make it very clear for people when they land there, depending on what they are interested in. You want to make it easy with navigation and things for them to be able to know where to go and then have the like appropriate information for them there. So then conversely, so then on those pages, if it has to do with the farm, make sure that all the pertinent farm information and how they can support it is there. But then you can also have blog posts and content and things related to the farm. But additionally, you can have content that is overall related to the organization as well. And you can look in your analytics and things and see, what you're ranking for, where it's ranking. You can do all of that, but you just want to make sure that depending on who you are speaking to and what that objective is, that it is very clear to them when they get there how to find the information that they're looking for.
Yeah, that's a great point. Making sure who you're thinking of the audience that will engage kind of on the onset. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And I think this is a little bit of an offshoot to that question, but in kind of optimizing once the attention is there, is it best to have a shop link right on the website? Should that sort of be front and center as well?
Yes, I mean, I think if you have so like let's just say that you are a nonprofit that has various types of programming, but you also run a farm. Um, I would definitely say, in the tippy top, like let's say upper right, you can have a button that goes right to the e-commerce part of your site for folks that are there who are just looking to shop. They're just looking to purchase their share, or maybe if you have, weekly ordering or something like that, make that easy for folks that are like ready to go. You don't need to bury it far down in the navigation. But you can also have it relisted in other places where it makes sense as people would be browsing too.
That's really helpful. Thanks.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple questions here in the chat. I'll read out Susan's question. She says, I'm new to my organization. How do I know if we even have a Google business profile?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, one of the easiest things to do would literally just be searching on Google first. If it is live and active and everything, it should just come up. Um, if it doesn't, chances are you probably don't, but I would just double check if there was somebody there who would know that information or would have set it up. Um, they might know and be able to like have a reason why it's not showing up, but chances are if it's not showing up, you probably do not have one.
And then Morgan had a follow-up question about creating a Google business space. Morgan, did you want to just come off mute and ask the question?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. It's just a lot of context I didn't want to type out. But I tried creating a Google space and you have to do three things, like include your website, and then you have to take a video of your site showing your building, your storefront, you accessing a employee only area so you can prove that you're an employee and you're showing that this is a legit business. And then I took that video. They said they wanted it to be at least 3 minutes long to get a good scope of the business. And so when I try to upload it, it doesn't allow me to upload it because then it says it's too big of a medium. So how do I submit that video so I can get a Google Space? And that's the video they're asking for. So I've had time. I don't know. I've honestly just paused and haven't gone into it further because I have a long to-do list and that's later down the list, I guess. But
Got it. Is that for a Google Business Profile?
that was a Google Drive. It wanted me to upload a actual video like medium and not a Google Drive medium just to address the thing in the chat, but I could try that. I guess I didn't think about that, but it said upload file. And I think it was for to show up on Google Maps and things like that. Like they wanted a picture so they could understand how people are going to park, and where exactly the structure was, because it's on my family farm, so there's a million buildings, and they want to be able to direct people, I guess, pinpoint where to go. So they wanted me to take a video of it and all that as well. That was my
You
understanding.
you may be able to just have like a lot of times there's platforms that like for free will let you put it like upload a video and then compress like a file, do like a file compression and then download that compressed file into like a smaller file and do it that way.
Okay,
Kind
I
of
could
like
try
how
that.
kind of like how there's like PDF to JPEG converter, like software, things like that.
Okay.
So,
I'll try
yeah.
that in the Google Drive. So see if that helps, if that matches their file they're wanting. But yeah, that was something I didn't expect when I was making it. And all of a sudden they're like, okay, take a video featuring these three things. And I was like, oh. So then I scheduled the time to do that and then it didn't upload. So I'm like, you know what? It's moving down the list.
Yeah. 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 I wonder if you can just get a thing to compress it, if that would help.
Good luck, Morgan. Thanks for sharing. Erica, there was an interesting question, and I'm curious how you'll respond if it's sort of follow the steps that was laid out today or something additional. But essentially, the question is how to increase user visits without paying for advertising. And I'm assuming that is sort of the meta advertising, maybe in Google, but how you think about that question?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. So, um, I would say this is where your other marketing um like strategy comes into play. So this would be things like like social media strategy. This would be your email marketing strategy, your like if you are out in the community anywhere doing anything, like if you're ever selling at farmers markets or other things, or a part of community events or doing collaborations in any way, any of those things where you are getting visibility and getting the word out, should be driving more traffic to your farm website page or your organization website page.
And using those keywords, like always connecting what's on your website to how you're promoting elsewhere,
Hmm.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, so even if you do analog marketing, making like so meaning like if you have flyers, signage, banners, anything like that, making sure that your website is on there. Um, so that way people, like you can have a website, like write your website out and you can even have like a QR code for your website, and that will help with like what would be called like brand recognition as well, and it will help drive traffic to your site.
All right, we'll do a few more here. We've got a question from Alex in the chat. So, how do we balance interactive media on our site, such as surveys, vector art, videos, to keep the page engaging, but not overclutter or scare off customers with too much extra content?
Yeah, this is a really great question. So, speaking of like file compression and stuff, so one thing you do want to make sure of is that any media on your site is of a file size that is not so big that it makes your site slow to load. I know I touched on that briefly in one of the bullet points in the presentation, but just to reiterate, um, but this is where it can be helpful to either work with like professional designers, like we have great folks on our team who know the proper aesthetics and like user like experience design, or uh, looking at other websites that you find easy to navigate that have those different components, and then clicking over to ones that also have those components but feel cluttered or busy or overwhelming to you, and making note of like what are the differences and why. And then you can see like, oh, I see this is how this one's laid out versus this one, and this is why this feels usable and this one feels chaotic, and see how you can like mimic that on your own site. So, and then as you do that, one other thing I want to add is make sure that whatever you get set up as you're like building it on desktop, make sure you double check it on mobile and make sure that it's coming up and looks good on mobile.
That is so frustrating when you pop something up on your phone and everything is all wonky and out of place and
Yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah, it really is. Because you might be like, this looks so great on the computer, and then on mobile, it everything is like overlapping and it looks like a hot mess.
Thanks, Erica. Okay, so Christine asks, what does, or Christine's Garden, what does referral mean for Google Analytics? And is it different from social media direct?
Yeah, so it really will just yeah, it's really just showing you the like traffic source, like the place that it is sending people from. So that could be like let me see. Let me see if it's on my let me slide back to my slide here if it shows. I know I don't have it listed up, but if it's like no, I don't fully have it on that slide. But yeah, it will show let me see report snapshot. Uh yeah, when you click into referral, it will give you more specific info. Like when you are in analytics, it will give you more specific info about those referrals, and it will show you like um typically like Instagram or Facebook or just, different places. Or like if it was on a like let's say you were on like your URL was on somebody else's website, like a backlink, it will say like, you know, or like you were on a podcast, let's say, talking about your farm and they linked there, it will show like, oh, it linked over from here. And that's where that referral traffic came from. But that's when you have it all set up, typically when you click into each of those categories, it will give you a more granular breakdown.
Oh, that's really helpful. And just a follow up on that is in a question about how do you actually link Google Analytics to your website?
There is in the slides, there is a hyperlink. So when you get everything from this, there's a link in there that you can go to, it will show you. But if you also just Google like whatever platform your website is on, that's I would just recommend saying like let's say it's Squarespace, like setting up Google Analytics on my Squarespace website, and then you'll get info on it, and it should give you tutorials on how to do it.
All right, and maybe one final question here from Kristen. Is there a best practice for navigation structure for SEO?
Um, Not necessarily for SEO. It's more you want to make sure that the navigation makes sense for people visiting the website, that they can clearly and easily find what they are looking for. Um, that is what is going to be like really important. So making sure that when somebody lands there, that they again, because like we people are we move quickly, we are very impatient, we skim the whole thing, right? So you want to make sure that info is very easy to find and find quickly. And so this is why it can be good to have a few different people look at your site and just have them like maybe give them an objective to say like if you were looking for info on my CSA, like info about it and then like how you might sign up for it. Um, Go through my site and then give me feedback on like how easy was it to find? Did you still have any questions? Was anything frustrating about navigation? Any of that. And then compare those few answers and then you can adjust it that way.
Such wonderful advice. Thank you so much, Erica. Thanks to everyone for your questions. I feel like this conversation really could go on and on. But just to remind everyone, these slides will be sent to you and made available, and the entire recording will also be available. So thanks so much, Erica, for taking the time and sharing such wonderful resources with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I'll just wrap us up here. A reminder about CSA Week. If you don't already have the CSA Innovations Network resources, please feel free to engage and take advantage of those. Stay tuned for upcoming events. We're in the midst of planning the next series of 4Ideas Labs. And then, of course, if you're not already connected with us on Instagram and Facebook, this network really is incredible how wide it's growing and the expertise and knowledge that's within it. So please join if you haven't already. And just want to say thank you for attending, for being active, and for making this such a wonderful space to share together. And here's all of our information for FairShare, for CSA Innovation Network, for Erica, if you want to get in touch. And take care, everyone. Thanks so much for coming.